Last night, Jody was like, so the only thing that's been missing from this conference is somebody talking about case studies. So that's what I'm going to do now. Specifically, how to use them to close more sales on launches, and even using this stuff, you can start closing sales like next week on people that already said no to your stuff. So before we dive into that, we got to look at why people didn't buy in the first place. And for a certain type of customer, it's not going to be because they don't trust you or your product. If you ask them why, they might say it's time or money, but we know that's not always the case. And what's really going on for a certain type of customer is they just don't think it'll work for them. So what I mean, like 7 years ago, I was at a job I hated, making like $10 an hour, working nights, and stumbled across this launch for a program on how to find a job that you love. I'm sure a lot of you know which one I'm talking about. I think Abby wrote it. And so I was like going through the whole thing, and I'm nodding along, like, yeah, these are all my pains around my job. That's exactly what I want. And then it got to the point where I had to buy, and I was like, literally a Friday night, just staring, watching the countdown timer go away, being like, do I do this or not? And I didn't. And if you asked me why at the time, I would have been like, $2,000, are you kidding? I don't have that money. But what was really going on was I just didn't think it would work for me. I saw like the testimonials and case studies, and I was just like, these are like super motivated people that have their shit together. I'm not one of them, so. And then actually like a year or two later, I found a story of this guy who was about 30 years old and just kind of drifting through life, and then built an amazing career as a copywriter, and his name was John Carlton, and then I went, okay, I guess I'll be a copywriter, and I bought that course. Even though I still didn't have any money, and had to sell a car a couple months later to keep paying rent, but you know, that objections just went out the window because I was like, this is the guy, this is the thing. So anytime you do a launch, you're going to have people like that. They're just like, they nod along, they're like, yeah, this all makes sense. They just don't know if it can work for them. And so the way that we generally try to solve that is, you know, you have your own hero's journey story, but they go, yeah, but I'm just, you know, you're tall, I'm short, it's not going to work. And then, so what do we do next? We send them testimonials. Hey, that's a short person. They go, yeah, but I don't know. They're, like, testimonials are just kind of easy to blow off sometimes. Or we send them a case study, where it's like a 20-minute interview, but it kind of takes 10 minutes to say anything interesting, and the first minute's talking about the weather, so they just kind of like tune it out, and it doesn't work. So, I don't have a clicker. Now I have a clicker. So the way to solve this problem is you want case studies that do three key things. The first is being targeted. So they're super specific about who you're going after, the objections, the desires. The second part is they're easy to consume. You're not asking them to do this work and like, hey, there's the video. I promise there's some good stuff in there. You know, you're making it so they get sucked in and can't help but process the story. And the third is it's emotionally compelling. Like a lot of the case studies, they're either like a Q&A, which is just like superficial stuff. They're not making anybody cry, which is really what we're going for. So that's the sort of hero's journey case studies that I've been creating are focused on doing that. So the first step is targeting your avatar. So you already know that you've got like, you know, 8 main avatars, and you do your case studies for them. It's like, great. But then you've also got sub-avatars where you can go even deeper. You can talk, you know, maybe one's the 20-year-old college kid, one's the 30-year-old mom. But the college kid, there's one who thinks they can't do it because they live in a different country. There's another who's like, yeah, but I'm an introvert, it won't work for me. So you send them each proof of somebody with that exact problem, and then they have nowhere to go. They're like, oh, this does work for me. So eventually, if you kind of break that down enough, you can get to the point where it's like almost impossible for somebody to find your site and then not see somebody who's just like them that had success with what they're doing. And when you get that, it's like you're just shutting off all the doors and like, okay, well, now my excuses are gone. God damn it. I guess I'll have to buy. And so the next part is making it easy to consume. So that's an example of targeting your avatar, going after busy moms. Making it easy to consume. And that's, you know, the first part is doing the hero's journey of the story instead of just like, yeah, here's some info on a person or a Q&A or whatever. So it's just going to be more consumable in the fact that it's an interesting story targeted at a certain person. And the way we've been doing it is having both text and video, because there's some people, like us nerds, that just want to read, some people that would rather watch video, so this way you give people the option to do whatever they want. And you're not just like repeating stuff from the text in the video. Both of those are telling the same story, but they're including kind of different details. And yeah, that. So, no, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, anyway, they include different details, so like the person who's reading and watching the video gets a more immersive version of the story. But even if they just want to do one of the two, they can still do that. And the other part is, because you have this journey kind of laid out like that, you can start calling out the specific objections and fears that are in that specific customer's brain. So if it's the college kid who's the introvert, you can tell the story of the guy who had the same problem that overcame it and take that fear of like, I didn't think it would work for introverts, make that a crosshead. Then the guy who's just kind of like coming in, sees, I didn't think it would work for introverts, goes, oh, that's the same problem I have. They start to get sucked in, and they're actually seeing how the person overcame that. You're not just saying this works for introverts, you're proving it with a story. So, that's the second part, and the third part is actually making it emotionally compelling. So it resonates and strikes a chord and isn't just like, oh, okay, nice proof, neat. And that's to use what I call journey moments, which is just moments throughout the journey, the high points, the low points, the turning points, the key moments that make your story stand out, engage, and really resonate with people. So for example, a lot of case studies might say something like, oh, you know, this person, Sally she had no idea how to start a business and was scared of selling herself, but was scared of selling, but, you know, she used her stuff and she did it and made 10 grand, yay. And it's like, okay, cool. So everyone else is saying that too, so it kind of can go one in one ear and out the other. But when you're actually sharing the moments of the journey, it makes the whole thing more compelling, and makes it more real, makes it more believable, and it helps the person visualize themselves having that success. So instead of just being like, oh yeah, they were poor too, you tell the story of, yeah, Sally was broke, living with her parents, went out for a walk one night, and just fell to her knees in the middle of a snowstorm, crying out to the universe or God or something for help because she had no idea what she was doing with herself. Or instead of being like, yeah, she overcame her fear of selling, you're like, she spent half of a morning hiding underneath the covers because she knew she had to call a client that day, and she was mortified. And it wasn't until she remembered something from the course that gave her the courage to finally reach out and make that call and get her business started. Or instead of just, and then I made $10,000 in a day, you're saying, okay, she was absolutely horrified, thinking nobody was going to buy it. And then the sales started coming in, and she fell to the floor and started crying, thinking, I'm actually going to be able to provide for my kids. They're not going to starve. And those are actual moments from some case studies I've done recently that have made it either in the video or the text. And yeah, it allows people to actually see the journey and experience it before they even buy it. And so once you have your case study done, that's just what it looks like when it's more. You can see there's videos and images and stuff throughout to just kind of keep calling at people and suck people, skimmers in. Once you have it done, you can use it. The main way you see a lot is using it like during a launch, closing more sales before the cart close goes out. But you can also use it in other ways. You can include those stories in your PLC content. If you're doing like Ask in PLC, you can mix those stories in, target different avatars. You can use it in a pre-launch. So you're sending out these videos weeks beforehand and then being like, oh yeah, and there's a workshop coming up. You can learn how to do that. So sort of build energy for that. You can use it after the sale in a cart abandonment as just, or send it as an upsell where it's like, hey, here's somebody who got the inner circle and succeeded even faster if you want to buy that. And or just use it on like a casual Tuesday if you just want to, do like a soft sell and be like, hey, here's a cool story of how Sally built a cool business and they can do that, go through it, and then if they want to buy, they do. And yeah, if I was smart, I would have put like a slide of like, go to Marketing with Brian and get the ultimate guide to case studies. But I didn't, so I'm just going to say that, which I did, and now I'm done.